All right, we're back to discuss Rogue One, and if you saw our review, we were all sort of... It was okay. It was fine. There's nothing about this movie that I thought was absolutely terrible, apart from some iffy special effects here and there. I was not a big fan of the Peter Cushing 9-foot-tall CGI effect that they had going on with him. But one of the things in this, we are getting into spoilers here on this side of it. I mean, so Rogue One is a suicide mission, and that makes it hard for this movie to work, because a lot of Star Wars is built on nostalgia. It's built on characters that you've gotten to know over the other movies. This movie has to introduce you to new characters, make you care about them, and kill them off very quickly. Mm-hmm. And that's a really hard thing for it to do. I don't remember most of the characters' names, which isn't a good sign. And, you know, you do end up, like, to your point about cliches and stuff like that, like, yeah, you have the one funny character is Jokebot 9000, and once he dies, there's no jokes anymore. It's just sort of okay. I think the ending is the strongest part of the movie. And I think that
it does tie it in nicely, but then that was the whole point.
That was the whole point, and it does a good job of setting up Episode 4 better than the ending of Episode 3 did. Because the ending of Episode 3 is like 20 years before.
Yeah, it's more direct, yeah.
So, you know, from that perspective, I think it's cool. But again, like I said in my review, I don't feel that this was a necessary film. I think they did fine with what they had, and most importantly, they didn't royally screw up Star Wars with this movie. They didn't midichlorians this movie. You know, there's nothing just galling that's going to keep me up tonight about this movie. So,
I get the feeling watching the movie that they had talked during the making of the movie that early testing thought that it was way too dark, and so they went back and added humor in, and I really felt that, because there are some points where the joke bot would make a joke, and it just seemed really out of place. Like, it was funny, but
I agree.
A lot of the humor seemed kind of like punch up.
Well, I mean, honestly, I mean, if they had really wanted to take their chances, they would have made a rated R Star Wars movie.
They should have gone fully dark.
Which would have been cool.
Amazing.
But that cuts their audience by like 90%, because it's mostly going to be parents taking their kids to see this movie.
True.
So
I think the humor
it's the PG-13 trap.
I feel like the humor was actually always meant to be there, because it sounds a lot like the writer Gary Whitta's sense of humor all the way through it. And he's been known to write some things. Tested.com is where I know him from. But it was his voice completely, 100%. It felt like, anyways. If it wasn't, I'd be surprised. But yeah, a lot of people dying in each other's arms, dignified deaths. No one just standing out in the middle of, oh my God, here's a Death Star firing. I'm shitting myself while staring at this thing. Yeah, it seems like I don't know, the wandering Jedi Samurai kind of character, blind Jedi Samurai character. I didn't catch his name at all.
We'll just call him Donnie.
I mean, they did. They introduced all the characters.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean,
it was a little weird.
So
there was a lot of location introductions at the beginning that I almost can't remember, and I don't understand why they drew that out so much.
That's another thing. That's another
Must have been about 12 locations we were introduced to.
That's another nitpick that I would throw at the movie.
It meant relatively little to the story.
Like, do any of the other Star Wars movies have the location in the bottom left corner?
Never, but they mentioned these places. We know Yavin 4 was a place before, but
like the first 15 minutes of the movie,
yeah,
every planet that we get introduced to has a little
and I think it's all
title card.
I think that's all fan service to old Extended Universe, which just effectively wipes out, because this
right.
kills off the story of Kyle Katarn entirely.
Right. No, and I mean, I noticed there were a couple of spots where, like, somebody would say something and somebody else in the audience would get excited, and I know, like, oh, okay, they mentioned something that's beyond my layer of Star Wars geekery, which is pretty low to begin with. I'm not, like,
and that's fair.
the biggest Star Wars fan there is, so...
And then Wedge shows up and survives
Oh, yeah,
another
yeah.
movie.
That's true.
The only character to survive like all the movies.
Yeah, they do have a Senator Organa. Is that his name? Yeah, Leia's father.
Yeah, Leia's father showed up
Jimmy
for
Smits.
a minute,
He was in 2 scenes.
Right. It was
5 minutes.
It was to me the most bizarre part of this entire movie was sorry.
But that's the hook. That's the necessary thing. Like if you don't end this movie like in a way that you can put episode 4 on now and watch
that's
it.
the part that makes sense to me. Sorry, I was trying to say when she is in front of the council and who the fuck is she again? She's a criminal whose father is a weapons dealer in the Empire. Why are we all banding behind her and getting together and letting her have the floor to talk and inspire people? That's the one part that really that stuck in my craw a little bit. Was like, okay, shouldn't this all be Mon Mothma giving the speech at that point?
No,
me-
because this character is going to be dead by the end of the movie,
Yeah,
and she needs a monologue,
Exactly.
and that her monologue turns on such a dime. Like her character is like not that person,
Right.
And then she turns into that
into that
person for
person.
that scene, and then she's back to being the character she was before.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
So-
that entire scene showed a bunch of flip flopping. Like the character that went out to kill her father, they have this huge fight where he's like, "Yeah, I would have done it. Psh, whatever, you know." And she's like, "I can't forgive you." And then the next thing, he's like, "I believe you. Let's go do the suicide."
Well, yeah, and while I was watching the movie, so the character that she ends up dying with at the end, whose name I don't remember, who's like basically the male lead of the movie,
It's like Kiln or something like that.
he is told right before he leaves. We're shown that he's told to kill Forrest Whitaker's character if he finds him. And then about 5 or 10 minutes later in screen time, it's revealed that he's also been told to kill Mads Mikkelsen's character if he finds him. And when he was told, when that thing was revealed in the movie, I was like, why are they telling the audience that he is potentially going to double cross them and kill Mads Mikkelsen? That just feels really sloppy. And then they get to that scene, and he's like thinking about killing him, and it's like, couldn't this twist have been an action instead of something that we're told, that's just explained to us? Like, oh yeah, and he's been told, like, that guy's orders were basically like, if you see anyone that's not part of this party, just shoot them. just shoot them all.
Yeah, I think we've hit hard into the explaining realm. Like with everything in the movie felt like they wanted to have a justification for it.
And it's tough
And they
because
couldn't do it.
they've got
Yeah.
they have a story to tell that has, like, it can't carry over anybody that we know because it can't really affect anybody that we know. And everybody that's in the movie that they introduce there has to be a reason for them not to be in the original trilogy. So they all have to die or have to be minor enough characters that it just doesn't matter, you know. So yeah, it's a tough. It's a tough thing to like the idea is good. I think the idea is there and it works. It's just like you said, you'd have to watch the movie again to decide what you think about it.
Yeah.
I don't think I will ever want to watch this movie again. Like it just it's that like it's like seeing one of the Hobbit movies after seeing the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's like, yeah, these are fine, but they don't add or subtract from my enjoyment of Lord of the Rings.
Okay, yeah.
It's just another like
I believe it.
well-made, but you know, we all know what happens movie.
Well, it was better than the Star Wars Christmas special.
Well. So the Shield Gate thing, that was pulled straight out of Spaceballs. I was like, what was that? I was like, why don't we just put the passcode in? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Just. Okay. Anyways, my gripes are weird sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, for what it is, I think it's the best movie it could be. I just think it had a lot of constraints on it for what it was allowed to be and how
Yeah.
far they were allowed to take it. And hopefully the other, like, disconnected Star Wars movies aren't quite as constrained as this.
Well, they made this movie with the entire idea to explain one plot hole in A New Hope, and that is why
would they design it that
why
way?
the exhaust ports.
Yeah.
You know? So this entire movie was based off of one problem people had with the movie, so they didn't have much to work
So, like,
with.
a 30-page
Yeah.
comic would have been fine.
Yeah. This is Star Wars 33 and a third.
Uh-huh.
I kind of was amazed that the entire idea was this was on purpose. Like we really built this thing to chain react, not.
And that part of it was cool.
I
That's
guess
fine.
That's fine.
Like, you know, the designer of the Death Star did this on purpose and made it do this on purpose. Not sure why they built it that way again, but they did.
Well, they built it even worse the second time, because the second time you could fly an entire ship through the
Well,
Death Star.
it wasn't done.
Yeah, it wasn't
like,
quite done. The first one you had to like aim for like a 3 foot by 3 foot hole with a missile that goes straight down and defies physics.
Yeah.
So
See, you're talking about exciting movies now, and it's bumming me out.
You know, despite the fact there's a lot of exciting action scenes in this movie, it's the fact that we've seen so much of that before, the bar changes, so it becomes harder to. And I was watching a lot of stuff thinking this should be amazing because look what's happening, but maybe, you know, maybe not in 2016. I guess.
I mean, to me, it felt like if they made, if none of the Star Wars movies had been made before, and they released A New Hope now, but like, instead of Luke being the main character, they had like C-3PO as the main character. And it just wasn't quite right. And then they kill everybody off at the end. It's like, well, I mean, that was a movie, and the only reason people are seeing this movie is because it's like Star Wars interrelated. Like, this movie would not do well if it were an original story.
Was anybody else thrown off that there was no scrolling text at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, a little
Like,
bit.
that
Yeah.
got me started
Yeah.
completely wrong.
I think that's the new thing they're going to go for non-Star Wars movies.
I mean,
like,
I get
the side
that.
story isn't important to get scrolls, I guess.
Well, and it solves the problem of what to title it, like what to episode title it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
It just
They don't
threw
have
me
to say
off.
episode 3.87.
Exactly.
It just threw me off, and because
Captain's
of that,
log.
it
Yeah.
didn't feel like a Star Wars movie up until like 20, 30 minutes left.
I disagree. I mean, I think it felt like Star Wars all the way through. It just, it's hard to watch a movie that is in the Star Wars universe that is comprised almost entirely of characters that you don't know, that you begin to care about right about the time that they're killed off and the movie is over.
Yeah. This would have been an extended universe book in
Yes.
the old life of it, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So to be fair, this was probably a harder movie to pull off than The Force Awakens because you had so much familiarity to play with.
Absolutely. No,
So
no
much
question.
to play with in that one, you know?
Yeah, this to make this a movie successful, like, and what I'm saying is, like, I consider it successful in that it doesn't make me upset.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this movie that's like anger inducing. It's just like, well, I saw it.
What was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
My life is just the same as it was before. Like, I don't really feel like I've learned anything important, or, you know, I'm never going to see any of those characters again. So,
Hey, you like Star Wars? Here's something Star Wars related.
yeah, I just tied you over until next year.
There you go.
So, but yeah, so go see it. It's great. You know, I honestly, I mean, I think they did the best they could with what they had. I just think there was a lot of constraints on the movie, so that's about it. that's Rogue One. If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at DaleMaxfield.com, and thanks for watching.